Hello, this is Dick Warlock, Michael Myers from Halloween 2, and you're listening to the Timo and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Timo and Harley Show. I am Timo. Over there is my partner in Mindcrime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben, happy Halloween, Harley.
Yeah, is this our Halloween
It's our Halloween show, yeah. Way to prepare.
Right?
Way to prepare. Nothing. Yeah. It's all professional here at the Timo and Harley Show. We're always on the same page, right?
Yeah, you got that right.
Yes, this is our Halloween show. This will be going up, let's see, is Halloween on Tuesday this year? So this will be going up Tuesday. On that Monday, or I'm sorry, Sunday, hopefully, if I get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be going up that Sunday. Well, we'll see. I got a Fragile Porcelain Mice gig in Springfield, Illinois.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, with Nihilate.
House being built. You got a lot of stuff going on.
A little bit, but don't we all, Ben Harley, especially right before the holidays?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so. But Ben Harley, as always, Halloween has always been one of my favorite holidays. It's my second favorite holiday, and I got to be honest with you. Christmas, and I'm sorry, all you PC warriors out there, but Christmas is still my favorite holiday. It still is.
Is that your go-to holiday?
It's still my go-to. And the thing is, people are like, but you're a horror fan. You got to be into Halloween. Look, I'm not afraid to admit that to me, it's 10 times creepier that a fat, dirty old dude sneaking down your chimney to eat your cookies at night. It's more scary than anything you give me on Halloween. Right? I mean, so I'm down with that. At least that dude leaves you stuff sometimes, right? Sometimes.
That's true. Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah. Going through your socks and everything you got hanging up places and phew. But no, Halloween. So it's, of course, being a horror show. This is a big time year for us and a very, what's the word I'm looking for here? A very appropriate time of the year for a show like ours. So happy Halloween, Mr. Benjamin Harley.
Yeah. Happy Halloween to you too, Tim. I haven't been as much in the spirit this year. I mean, I guess I used to spend, back when we had our house, I used to spend, like the whole month of October decorating the yard and everything and, getting everything together. But, I don't have much area. I do have a mummy, though, that I needed to put out.
Oh, but that's just a mummy. That's not a Halloween decoration, right? I mean,
right, exactly.
That's just that corpse you keep forgetting to throw away.
Yeah. Right, that's just burnt Reynolds. So.
Right.
Oh, man.
Right.
But yeah, I do love me some Halloween. I mean, it's nice to have younger kids that you can, go trick-or-treating with too, and still see. Oh, because I love seeing the young kids, man, like especially the little kids, how excited they are and stuff, man. That just, for me, that's the Halloween that I really dig.
Right.
It's just fun seeing all the kids and all their different costumes and them having fun and going berserk, going bananas,
right.
Just having fun. Because, those were the good times of Halloween when you were a kid too, and you got your costume and all that stuff and you want to show it off. So, yeah. So, Timo, I didn't get to see, we're in the space-time continuum. So, I'm not sure I got to watch Halloween maybe. I think I might go watch the Halloween, though, this Halloween.
Yeah.
I think that might be my go-to movie this year.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad one. Yeah, this is actually our last trick-or-treating year because we're moving. We're going to be at Dermal Ridge. There ain't no trick-or-treaters out at Dermal Ridge. Not ones you want to answer the door
bust
for.
Them in or you're going to have to bust out.
Yeah, that's right. So, but this will be our last one. But chance is 10. That's not like he's done or anything, but he's getting to the point where I think he actually likes giving out the candy. I think he likes to dress up.
Fun too.
Yeah. So, but either way, he's kind of getting screwed out of Halloween after this year. So, but you know what? I think we're gonna make that property look way more Halloween-y all year round than he can. Yeah. We're already talking about putting a pet cemetery. I mean, the whole thing, like. Last night, let me tell you something. Right. Last night, we were looking at, and see if you can follow me on this, and I bet you will, because you're a visual guy. Okay. However, I'm the guy that looks at the clock on the wall, right, when watching a movie. But last night, we were actually talking about buying lampposts and lamps, just like on Crystal Lake. And do you know what I mean? They hang down, and they're like a bowl, upside-down bowl, and they kind of blow around in the wind. So we were actually talking about, when we put a pool in over there, putting those around it and putting Camp Crystal Lake around. Yeah, so that's where we're going with this. So thank God I have an understanding wife. And I mean that like infinitely for everything ever.
Right.
I think most of my friends, including yourself, awesome, could probably agree. Yeah, you're probably right. We're all kind of thankful she's an understanding person. So, but happy Halloween to everybody out there, and hope it's a good and safe one. Let's see. Only watched a few things here, Ben Harley. Only a few things. Okay. Been busy. Got some things going on. Got a lot of music stuff and moving and all that kind of going on. But I did pop in a movie that I know you watched recently, and I've been waiting to watch this. I got it on the Blu-ray. All right. So I sat down with Chance and Angio and watched Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did your teeth hurt when you got done with that sugary sweet movie?
This movie is the reason that I'm into music. And my wife was looking at me, and I'm like, now, wait a minute. Now, hold on. I said, you know me, okay? If I love this movie, you know this would be a different story. This was probably only the fourth time I've seen this movie. And the first time I saw this movie was 40 years ago. So it's not like I obsess over the movie. What it was when I was a little kid, my Aunt Sharon and my mom took me to go see, I was 4 or 5 years old, took me to go see this movie. And when Aerosmith had come together, it blew my mind. It blew my mind when I saw that.
That is a good part.
Yes. So that got me into the Beatles and Aerosmith. And that's what got me into music. Okay. But I had to see this movie first and had to see them do that. So, because we're watching the movie and I was laughing. I actually enjoyed it because it was so silly and weird and funny. And I mean, what the hell is the difference between this and the Apple? Except you have really good Beatles music, even if it's kind of pushing the envelope of taste as far as versions of those songs sometimes. But it was still decent. It started with way better music than the Apple, but it was a lot like that.
Oh, sure did.
Well, here's a couple of things, though. Now, again, I will always hold this sacred because of that, and only that. All right? Now, I'm not so sure, though, that I can continue to support a film where a Bee Gee punches out Alice Cooper. Okay?
Yeah.
You might have got me into music, but I'm dead square there now, baby. You know, it's like, don't know if that's a real life thing or not. And I don't care if Alice is gangly or not. There's no way a Bee Gee is smiling his way through a punch out with Alice Cooper. So, and putting his face in a pie.
That's just
Alice is a good sport.
Yeah.
He's a good sport. The only other thing about this that I forgot about this movie, and I remembered it when I was seeing it, but Earth, Wind, and Fire fucking throws down in this movie.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah, they do.
I was like, wow. And I forgot, and I was telling Angio, because she hasn't heard a lot of this music. She hasn't heard a lot of the Sgt. Pepper music. Some of it she had heard before.
Okay.
You know, but it was interesting. I told her, I was like, that was a hit. Like, a couple of these songs from the soundtrack was a hit. And I listened to the soundtrack a lot because my brother got it on vinyl. So he got it and I held it for most of the time and I would listen to it. But but there is some good music on there. Now at the end, when Billy Preston comes floating down off the get back, and he's shooting lasers out of his finger, high comedy right there.
Yeah, I think you got the word high right about this film.
Yeah. There might have been a few dust particles of cocaine floating around somewhere.
Yeah. No kidding, man. Oh, jeez.
So we watched that, and that was a lot of fun. And I think Chance.
That's good, though. Yeah.
Yeah, he thought I was weirder.
Chance thing.
He really likes the Beatles. But it took him a minute to figure out what was going on. Then he realized this was like a tribute to the Beatles. So he was all right. He got upstairs on Saturday night in time to watch Batman on MeTV. Nice. So he was happy. So we didn't watch Tarantula. Right. We didn't watch that on Svengoolie, although that was awesome. But we didn't watch that. So we watched Sgt. Pepper instead. But I got the Tarantula Blu-ray, dude. We're good on that. So
you're good.
We did watch 2 Halloween-y movies, and that was it. That's all we watched. We watched from 1980, The Changeling, George C. Scott.
Oh, yeah.
And it, Melvin Douglas. So that was very cool. Actually, Angio brought that one up. I guess
Really?
she had just forgotten
out
part of
Angie.
it. Yeah, she forgot part of it, and I actually fell asleep right toward the end. She's like, "Oh, do we need to go back and watch?" I was like, "Honey, I've seen this movie. I mean, so many times. We're fine." And I'm waiting for that sucker to come out on Blu-ray. So I really don't want to overwatch it till it comes out on Blu-ray. But speaking of Blu-ray, Ben Harley, another Halloween-y movie that we watched from 1973, The Legend of Hell House.
Ooh.
Yes.
Really?
Yep. So that was got that on Blu-ray, and
That's a good Halloween.
It is. Got the old cutie Pamela Franklin in it, and the crusty old Brit guy Clive Revell, who I like. But Roddy McDowall. Let me tell you something about Roddy McDowall in this movie. And I don't know how well you remember this movie, but Roddy McDowall should have gotten an Oscar, at least nomination for this movie. I just think his performance. Forget if you like horror films or not. His performance is brilliant and pulls the whole movie together and keeps it going.
Yeah.
So I really think so. And the other thing that I always forget about this movie is at the very end when the whole key is discovered. First of all, it's the stupidest reveal of all time for the greatest, one of the greatest films of all time, the stupidest reveal. But the bad guy who owned the home, the Belasco, was played by Michael Gough.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting in a chair.
Really?
That's it. Yeah. And I forgot about that. I always forget about that. But the reason he's haunting the place is just plumb stupid. It's no, I'm not haunting the place over that shit. Are you kidding me? You know, because I told Angie, I was like, well, let's watch this because I've been wanting to watch this. But I warned you, it's got a really stupid key to the mystery. And she was like, yeah. So when they actually revealed it, I was just giving her a look. That look I give, like, And she looked at me. I was like, Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who wants to watch it, but still, it's like, oh boy.
Yeah.
So
it happens in a lot of these films.
Oh yeah,
they have a hard time wrapping them up.
They sure do. That's what I was saying. I was like, I'm pretty sure Stephen King was highly influenced by this film, and he decided to write amazing stories with awful endings that just fall apart like a house of cards. I'm looking in your direction. So, but that's all I got, Ben Harley. It's been a busy week.
Whoa, really?
It's not stopping. It's not slowing down. In Space-Time Continuum, as you hear this, I will have just been getting back from Springfield playing with Nihilate and Parasites, who I met in Lawrence, Kansas. Talked about it should be an interesting show. Should be fun.
Nice.
So, what do you got, Ben Harley? Did you watch anything? Any Halloween-y stuff or?
I guess. Well, yeah, I could sort of start some Halloween-y stuff. I did start the new Exorcist, the
second
television
season?
show. So
second
I was,
season?
the second season. Yeah, not too bad. They're the dynamic duo of exorcism are like they're out on the road now. Like teacher and apprentice type thing, going on. But yeah, there was the first episode was pretty good. They were kind of like out trying to save this one lady, and it was in a small town, and her husband was the sheriff, and nobody could figure out what was going on with her. But it just basically started with them and her in a truck, and they're trying to do an exorcism on the run type thing. A little bizarre, but it actually settled in. It was pretty good towards the end. Believe it or not, the second one was there's 3 new ones. I watched the first 2. The second episode was quite good. It was almost like where this lady was convincing her daughter that she was possessed.
Is it like an episodic thing? I mean, is this like a one story all season thing, or are they going to different places every episode? And
I think it might be. I think they might be doing like the Incredible Hulk type thing.
Well, that I'm okay with. That I'm a little bit more okay with. Yeah.
Yeah. So far there is a family though that's kind of hinging on this guy who is like a foster father, and I can't remember the guy's name. I think he's a pretty well-known actor, TV actor, and I'm sorry, I apologize, I can't give his name offhand. I think he might have been in The Walking Dead, as a matter of fact. One of them guys. I don't know. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, it's kind of surrounding this guy's foster family and the different kids and stuff, and then it's also going back with Father Thomas and the other gentleman. Okay. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Anyways, yeah, so something's brewing with these guys, the foster family. So I know they'll end up going there.
So it's basically like a wraparound story, but they're having like little individual exorcisms.
Yeah. Yeah. And
It's
the one was
okay.
interesting, the one was interesting about the lady. I thought at first, I was like, but I guess it was an interesting story. She was giving her daughter, like, I don't know, she was giving her PCP or some kind of hallucinogens to have. Yeah. And like kind of, I don't know. You know how some women do that. They make their kids sick for attention.
Oh, the Munchausen? The Munchausen syndrome thing? Yeah, I got you.
So
Yeah.
it was kind of like that, but with exorcism and stuff.
I thought you meant, how women are giving their kids PCP when they're bad mood and stuff. I was like, okay, yeah.
Have some angel dust.
I don't like the PC police, but what the hell, Ben? I got
Where
you.
You've been hanging out.
Right. Yeah, so it's like a Munchausen. I see. All right. So you're taking the Exorcist second season a little bit. Getting into it. Starting
not too bad.
Yeah. All right.
Also, while watching The Exorcist, I meant to mention this. One of the episodes was dedicated to William Peter Blatty. I didn't know he passed away.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't too long ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first episode was dedicated to his memory, which kind of threw me a little bit. I was like, wow, I didn't even know. So, but yeah. So that was kind of neat, I guess. Neat in a bad way.
Right. Poignant.
But yeah. So, then I trying to finish up Salem, and it's pretty good. It's a pretty good show. I tell you what, Timo, it's really hardcore as far as like the violence and things like that. They don't really pull any punches. But I did want to mention I saw again where Joe Dante directed another episode, so he might have done many of them. I've just noticed twice. I happen to be reading, but yeah, it's pretty neat, and it's funny because the second one that I watched, I could kind of tell. I was like, yeah, these ones are a little bit darker, I guess. I mean, they're all pretty dark, but you could tell Joe Dante's influence maybe a little bit. So I thought that was kind of cool. And I'm going to stick right now, Timo, with my director theme.
All right.
I've been watching a little documentary. I'm not quite finished with it, but it's worth mentioning, called Spielberg. And I taped it. It was on, my free channels that I'm getting right now. So I think it might have been on HBO or one of them. But it's a documentary on Steven Spielberg. Really good. It goes through a lot of stuff of his childhood, a lot of the things that happened in his childhood that he brought into the movies and things like that. I'm up to Schindler's List right now, which is a movie I refuse to watch, but
why is that?
I just don't want to watch it, Tim. Only for the fact that I know it's going to make me pretty upset, and what's weird is because I do watch a lot of stuff on the History Channel, and there's a lot of World War II and a lot of Nazi stuff, but I just don't like Nazis, and it's only because of it makes me upset to be a white person, I guess. So.
Well, it's not.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's actually a very good movie. I mean, it's not. It's one of those movies where you probably think it's going to be something when you get into it. It really has more to do with the story of Oskar Schindler and how he wasn't necessarily a saint as much as it served him well, and it served the Jewish community well for him to keep them around and keep them working and stuff. And it's just how the Jewish people actually were the smart ones that kind of wiggled their way into making sure they were important to these people so that they were kind of protected and stuff. And there's a lot more. I know it's hard to imagine, but there's actually a pretty good amount of humor in it. And it's a good movie. I mean, it's a lot better than you think it is. It is emotional. Sure it's an emotional film for sure. Yeah, but it does bring out
too much of an emotional response in me. There's just certain things like, and I know it did show a few things in the documentary that already I was like, oh God, I can't do it. I just can't do it. But in a way, it was kind of cool because in the documentary, it talks about when he was younger and how he wanted not to be Jewish at one point, because he was already kind of a nerdy kid and he thought that would make him nerdy living in suburbia. But then in a way, I liked it too because he talks about suburbia. And if you do look in a lot of his films, there is a lot of suburbia.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And it's not bad suburbia.
Right.
Even though he wanted, I think, the Norman Rockwell life. Now, it's just not like that. I'm a big fan of suburbia, too. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of every house looking the same, but I grew up in suburbia and I just liked it, you know? I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Is it painted out to be what it's has been? No. But still, there's good people. And I grew up and still had a lot of fun and learned a lot about life.
It's
It's
basically
not like I just grew up a robot.
right. No, I mean, if you think about it, it's basically people living next to each other instead of on top of each other.
Yeah.
That's really the big difference. I mean, you know, so.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, the documentary is really cool. It does start off kind of with Jaws, like right away, you know, and then, but it goes through Duel and it talks about Duel and a lot of things. And I felt like you kind of feel for him in a little bit of a way because just like most artists and stuff too, you know, and I know Walt Disney suffered a lot of the same stuff. It's because of their stuff was commercial or things like that, that you're not a true artist. You're not gritty enough. How the F is Jaws not a gritty film? Okay, I understand that, you know, but come on, how is Duel not a gritty film? Why? Because there's not a guy fucking snorting heroin in it, or there's not some, you know what I mean? Like, those films are gritty. I mean, and I just, you know, I think they painted him into a corner too, you know, but like, it talks to everybody and it shows how they all kind of came up. Lucas and Spielberg and
they all came together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like at the same time, you know, and De Palma and all those.
Yeah. A lot of them have a lot to do with each other's films that people don't realize too, especially Spielberg and Lucas. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and even Coppola too. I mean, there's a lot of these people
they were
that
saying how they all worked on them, and they would all bounce ideas off each other, or they would say, you know. And I think it was De Palma that came up with. He got all over Lucas one night. They were saying in this documentary, and it was like, I don't understand with Star Wars. I don't understand what's going on. Who are these people? Why are they here? Blah, blah. And he's the one that said, we need to come up. You need to start it with. And I guess he made Lucas mad at first. You know, like Lucas was pissed, but then. He said, you need to come up with something. And that's how they did the old cereal, like the Buck Rogers cereal thing, you know, where it comes up at the beginning and scrolls up and tells you what the hell's going on. You know? So it was it's a cool little documentary.
Nice.
You know, I'm glad how they touched on Jaws and stuff like that too, a little bit, you know.
Right.
And a lot of that stuff I knew about.
Sure.
But yeah, there was some really neat stuff. So yeah, if you get a chance, it's called Spielberg. Yeah. And I'm a little over halfway through, so I'll report back on some of the other stuff.
Good.
But yeah, Duel, Timo. Duel.
Yeah.
Crying out loud. Right. I knew that movie was great when I was 10 years old.
Oh yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I didn't know who directed it the first time I saw it. I just saw Duel. I was like, wow, this is great. I might have noticed it in the credits because even as a little kid I watched him, but still it was like, wow.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
I had no idea. And I know I probably was even younger than that when I first saw it, but I remember that was a movie that I was riveted by that film as a kid. That was to me probably opened me up to a whole new.
They're after you. They're after you. Are you on fire?
Get down now. No.
Yeah. I actually was always afraid in that movie that the truck driver would get out of the truck. I was like, don't get out of the truck. You hurt anybody, you know. But I think the truck was a little more dangerous, but I was always worried about that, you know. Oh, well. Yeah. Well,
they said something real cool, Tim, and I'll leave it at this. He talked about, and you might have heard this before, but like when he filmed that movie, the truck goes down, hits the car, goes down, but it doesn't explode. It just kind of dies. It kind of, and the studio wanted him to go back and reshoot it because there was no explosion. He's like, no, I wanted it to die a painful death. And I remember too, even as a kid watching it, it starts, the wheels are still turning, it's dripping stuff, and it's kind of the wheels just stopped and then the dripping, it's like it just died, which, I thought was kind of cool. But he pulled the same thing like in Jaws in the book, the shark's supposed to just get tangled up in the rigging and slowly die. Well, he didn't want to do that. He's like, we can't do that. We got to blow it up, So it's kind of funny to see the difference between one movie to the next, how he did it. So, but good stuff, buddy. I think you'd really enjoy it. So.
Yeah, I would. What else you got?
Well, one more thing, Timo, real fast, I guess. Then Wendy and I have been taping a lot of stuff, on the free HBO Showtime. And I've taped a few movies, that I thought she might like that we could watch together. Right. I taped Cape Fear the other day. I taped a few other movies, but one that we got to watch was one that I've only seen one time before, called The Vanishing.
Oh,
which remember this one?
Which
Tim?
one? There's a foreign one, and there's one with Jeff Bridges in it.
Yeah, the Jeff Bridges one.
Okay, all right, gotcha. Yep.
Yeah. So I remember, I don't think I saw this in the theater. I don't know, but I remember seeing it and I actually kind of liked it back in the day. I thought it was a good movie. I haven't seen it since, and I mean, that's when it came out, and it's an early 90s film, I do believe. But Tim will go back and watch it. At first, Jeff Bridges is, I don't remember all the stuff at the beginning of him because he's like becoming a serial killer, right? In this, he's kind of trying to. He's like an odd chemistry teacher.
I honestly, I saw the one you're talking about one time because the first one I saw was the original one, which is a foreign film. And I don't know where it's from. From I don't know where. I mean, it could be from Poland. I have no idea, but it's somewhere over there. And it's very similar, and yet key moments are very different in it. And I didn't like the American one as much because it kind of cheated a little bit, and the foreign one didn't cheat at all. So I don't really remember the American one that well. I'm not even sure if I have it or not. I probably do, actually. But yeah.
It's got Kiefer Sutherland in it. Young, what's her name? Oh, jeez.
I don't remember it all. I mean, I didn't even remember Kiefer Sutherland was in it. I just remember Jeff Bridges.
Oh, she's super famous from Speed.
Cher? Sandra Bullock? Sandra Bullock, yeah. Okay, yeah. I don't know why I just spaced on that, but young Sandra Bullock. A young Cher. Yeah. You said famous. I'm like, Cher. Mary Tyler Moore. I don't know. Michelle Obama. I don't know. You tell me it's a famous woman. I'm just Oprah.
Right.
B. Arthur.
Mrs. Butterworth. I don't know.
So, but did you enjoy it?
Actually, I thought it was pretty good. Jeff Bridges, I mean, at first, because, I love Jeff Bridges. He's great, but he's always played a really cool guy. So it's weird seeing him as an awkward person in the film. But I didn't remember all the stuff of him trying to lure other women and stuff and him practicing and stuff. So at first it was really off-putting. I'm like, what the hell? Is this the right movie? And stuff. But actually, it, ended up being better than I remember too. So it was pretty good. So there's a couple others, like say, you watching Cape Fear here soon. I'll get back to you on that one. I like both Cape Fears. I like the original, but this one, the other one was taping, the De Niro Nolte one, which I think is good too. It's creepy. And then one last thing, Tim, I forgot about this. Now, we both had pretty cool kids, right, Tim?
Yeah.
But the other day, I came home and I said to my daughter Zoe, who's 14, I said, she's watching something like black and white on her little iPad. I said, what are you watching? And she said, The Day the Earth Stood Still. And I thought to myself, God bless her.
Right.
How many 14-year-old teenage girls are going to be watching the black and white version of The Day the Earth Stood Still? So it did my heart pretty good.
There you go.
So I wanted to mention Zoe on the show today. So
there you go. So
she's keeping up with us.
We got Chance watching Batman, the Adam West Batman. We got Zoe watching Day the Earth Stood Still. I like it. She's in
black and white.
Watching a Michael Rennie movie. That's good. Yeah. Robert Wise. Sweet.
Yeah, so I was very proud. I was a proud papa the other day.
Nice. Well, Ben Harley, let's get to our first official Halloween film, Mr. Ben Harley. Let's see here. First up from 1986, we have the Clive Barker penned Rawhead Rex.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get you just a synopsis.
What about that?
I know. Let me get you a synopsis here. A little bit of a long one. So just movie guy's going to get his work cut out for him. It is Halloween, his busy time of year.
Yeah.
So movie guy. Yeah. All right. Come on over here.
All right.
Yeah, here we go. So movie guy, let's give us the synopsis of Rawhead Rex. Here we go. He's pure evil, pure power, pure terror. Rawhead Rex is a demon, alive for millennia, trapped in the depths of hell, and waiting for release. He is held by an ancient seal, imprisoned for centuries in a barren field near the hamlet of Rothmore, Ireland. All right. In time, this gruesome legacy has been forgotten, dismissed as an odd pre-Christian myth, until Tom Garone, Donald McCann, December Bride, decides to plow the field his ancestors knew better than to disturb. The seal is broken. Now, when I say the seal is broken, it's usually in a bar somewhere.
Yeah,
all right. Sorry. The seal is broken, and an unspeakable evil is unleashed on a rampage of blood and lust. Howard Hollenbach, David Duke's Gods and Monsters, an American historian on a working vacation with his family, discovers on the stained glass windows of a local church a series of scenes illustrating the reign of terror of Rawhead Rex. But the one piece of glass depicting the defeat of the monster is missing. Rawhead Rex is on the loose, and he is insatiable as Howard desperately races against time for a way to stop the vicious monster. All right.
That's longer than
Review
the movie.
is over. What do you think of the whole damn thing? Yeah. Okay, so again, this is 1986 Rawhead Rex. Screenplay by Clive Barker. And I'll start off this with you, because you don't know what I think about this flick, but I'm going to start off this with you. I do know that Clive Barker did not like this film.
Okay.
Yeah, he wrote the screenplay, but he did not like it, which caused him to have a more pivotal role in the making of Hellraiser, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So Ben Harley, have you seen Rawhead Rex before?
You know, I don't want to make these horror listeners think that I'm any less of a horror fan, but no, this is my first time.
Really?
Rawhead
Okay.
Rex. Yeah, you know, it's funny because I know this movie. And I do believe there's a band called Rawhead Rex too, somewhere out there.
Right.
But yeah, you know.
Well, look, hold on. Right. In fairness, before you go, it was not always been an easy movie to come by on VHS. A little bit, but it's since those days. It's not that it's impossible to find, but it's not like a fellow like yourself who moves about life and absorbs the movies that are thrown at him instead of me that goes fishing for him. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not. It's not that surprising. So go ahead. Sorry.
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, in fairness to this film, the actual movie itself is not a bad movie.
No.
It's got all the horror elements. You got a creepy, like, weird priest, you know, who's cackling all the time and touching the altar and freaking out and stuff, you know, and like you got plenty enough, like, there's just good stuff going on. There's good actors in it and everything.
Right.
But then my problem is, and is Rawhead Rex himself, man. He looks, I'm not really sure what he looks like, but I just think this movie, it just needed a different monster. Like, I don't know if it could have been smaller, because there's one point in this film, Timo, where Rawhead Rex comes running after a guy, and I thought it was quite hilarious too, because he just comes sprinting like a linebacker or something after this guy. But the Rawhead Rex mask that is on top of this whatever stunt person is, it's kind of starting to fall off. And the only thing I kept thinking in my mind, Timo, as I'm laughing at this, is that Timo can never laugh at the prophecy monster ever again, because that scene made the prophecy monster look like something out of Jurassic Park. It's just like, holy crap. So that was my problem, I guess, with most of the film, because I did like this movie. I really did. I just think there's certain parts with Rawhead Rex that just ruin it for me. And I think it kind of ruins the movie. But in all fairness, there's some really good stuff going on, though, in this movie. I just think, I don't know. Why was Rawhead Rex so mad, man? I mean,
he's a pissed off fertility god from back in the old days. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's just peeing on people and, you know, trying to, it's supposedly at the male id, uncontrolled, you know, and that's why a woman has to be the person to take him down. That's basically the story. You know, I don't disagree. Here's the thing. I've seen this movie quite a few times, all right? And it's always frustrated me.
Oh, I'm sure you have.
And I got it. I finally got it on Blu-ray. Just came, and Kino put it out. And I got to be honest with you that Rawhead Rex, I haven't seen it for quite a while, okay? It looks a hell of a lot better than my memory served. And because I remember the face not moving once in the movie. I was wrong about that. There is an animatronic. And apparently the guys that built that suit were upset because the face did move better than they showed it. But for some reason, there was like 17 different things the face would do that they didn't show on film. And they were kind of bummed out about it. And the other thing was that the effects guy said we were given and see if you can follow me on this at all. They were given a project that was supposed to take months to do, and they were given weeks.
Oh, yeah.
The suit. So there was rushed. It was very rushed. And the other thing is that the way Clive Barker wrote the story was that it was very like spiny, like thin, and had a dick for a head. It was basically a skinny thing with a penis for a head and stuff. So now that's not unusual for Clive Barker, to be honest with you.
No.
You know, and they just kind of figured, well, they couldn't find anybody skinny enough at the time. They were under pressure. So they decided to get a hulking German guy, some young kid, to play the role of Rawhead Rex. Look, I really like the story. I really like the way it's written.
Yeah, I do too.
And I think that it goes back and forth between camp and really clever, scary stuff. Because when you're seeing the point of view from Rawhead Rex, and I don't know how you were thinking about this, but seeing this movie quite a few times, I got to kind of dissect it more. And I'm like, if they, maybe at first, if they kind of eased you into seeing Rawhead Rex, it'd be scarier. Yeah. Because the point of view stuff and the claws on the wall and like the evidence that Rawhead Rex was there was pretty creepy. And it was pretty good. And then you would show Rawhead Rex and it became more like a modern day, like Marvel or DC movie almost. He was like a supervillain in a way, peeing on people and things. Giving them bloody hickeys and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. He just had this look on his face that, I don't know. And then the eyes
he was surprised.
Shift back and forth. I was just like, every time they'd show that face thing, I'd be like, oh, God. But then I said the action sequence when he come running across and the head almost fell off or whatever. I thought, oh, my God.
Right.
But I will have to say, Timo, that in fairness to myself too, back in the day that I'd been burned a few times by movies like this, that I couldn't, man, I would fall for the cover. The covers looks like, oh my God, this looks great. And they'd show you a couple snippets on the back, of the VHS cover. And you'd be like, oh, well, let's give it a shot. And then, oh man, and then I'd be pissed, because there was a point in time where I liked campy stuff, in a way, but it just, man, I liked campy stuff like Toxic Avenger campy stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like my other horror had to be kind of, I don't know. And I'm a guy who likes prophecy. So I don't know. And maybe it's me. Maybe.
Yeah. I think it's an uneasy mix of kind of a campiness and then kind of a not. Kind of more of a darker, kind of scarier thing because they don't really hold back on people getting killed and stuff. I mean, kids, anybody, they're gone. They're gone. If they're gone, they're gone. I actually don't hate Rawhead Rex, but I will admit when I saw it the first time, I was disappointed by the lack of lifelike expressions in his head, and stuff. I was like, oh God, because I saw a bunch of stills.
It's off-putting. It's really off-putting.
I saw a bunch of stills in Fangoria when they were filming this, and I'm like, wow, man, that's a wild monster, man. Especially back in '86, I'm like, holy shit, that thing looks like it's coming right at you. All right, this is great. And I saw it. And I was like, "Oh!"
And then it came right at you.
It stopped while it was coming at me and just froze. I was like, "I don't know," but I actually even me and Angie were watching. I actually even told her I was like, "Actually, the face and the head move a hell of a lot more than I remember it." I said, "So I'm kind of better with this than I was in '86, actually." But I just think what really holds this thing together. I like the pre-Christian, pagan, European, kind of thing. Yeah. I think those are neat stories. And I kind of like that about this. And I actually found that Rawhead Rex, really honestly, if it was only edited a little different, not in like we were talking about that Takuhei movie, the Bigfoot movie. I have a little bit of a similar thing with this. It was like, they could have been just shaved a little bit to not show the monster as much in the beginning. You did not need to see the monster Incredible Hulk his way out of the ground. And that's like supposed like one of the classic scenes. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, come on. This is a horror movie, not the Hulk. Unless you're going to introduce the Hulk to fight him, then I'm in. Yeah. Besides that, it's like, forget it. You know. I honestly though, I'm going to grape ape up the movie, and I still like it. It's fun. It's not boring. I think the mean priest that gets affected or infected, because that's the other thing with Rawhead Rex too. He has like these Bigfoot swirly googly eyes, like laser beam eye things, and they'll kind of possess you. And he possesses a priest. Yeah. And the priest is off his fucking rocker. And he's like so like snidely whiplash evil. That's kind of funny. Yeah. And I like him a lot. And that's about. I like the two priests. I like the Gary good guy priest, and then the dickhead priest. The two of those guys. It kind of reminds me of American Werewolf in London and how they could have fucked it up. So just coming from that area of the world, almost. I'm gonna grape ape up it though. I did have fun watching it. So.
I'm gonna grape ape the movie itself, but I gotta give up to Rawhead Rex.
I understand.
I can't. I tell you, the 16-year-old kid in me if I had rented this back then would have been pissed. Yeah, I would have been pissed. But like I said, I still would have been probably into some of the movie, but I'd have been hot.
I thought you've been waiting your whole life to see a punk rock looking chud. And they give you one, and you don't even react.
No, that was a full hockey egg.
All right, so you got a grape ape up, even though the monster was a little. Not that we don't watch movies we like with silly monsters in it. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, there's so many silly monsters.
It's very superior to some of the other silly monsters we see. So
true, right? This is true.
All right, so 2 grape apes up. Mine's a little stronger, probably for Rawhead Rex, but I've had time to digest this film over 30 years or so.
But it's a good movie.
It is
really
a good movie.
Is. I thought the movie was good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on, Ben Harley, because I think I snuck in a winner on you here. I think I threw a curveball. You didn't see this one coming. You thought it was just going to be your average snooze fest where it started slow. In the middle got a little slower, but by the end, boy, did it stop to a halt. And you didn't get that, I don't think. This is 1930s The Bat Whispers.
The Bat.
Okay, so here's a little synopsis here. Movie guy's going to come over. It's a 1-sentence thing. I'm going to add to it. So here comes movie guy with the synopsis for The Bat Whispers. Here we go. All right.
Okay.
A master criminal terrorizes the occupants of an isolated country mansion. Right. So it's the old dark house. This is another old dark house movie. Or The Bat. There's a lot of Bat movies from back then where it's a mysterious cloaked figure roaming the hallways of castles and things like that. This is certainly one of those films. And Ben Harley, my Halloween present to you is you just witnessed the inspiration for your favorite character of all time, Batman.
Yes.
This movie influenced Bob Kane to make Batman. So what'd you think?
Yeah. I liked this movie, Timo. And it was funny because before you mentioned that to me, while I was watching, I kept thinking, man, this is awful close to the time period. I was like, Bob Kane had to have seen this movie. If not, and I mean, I don't, but, cause it was kind of funny was it from like 1936? Is it, Timo?
It's 1930.
30. That's what I said. Cause I know this was like, at first I was like, oh my God, Timo's gave me another, I don't even know if this is going to be a talkie or not.
Right.
But I was pleasantly surprised, buddy. I really, the reason I guess I was really, it drew me in real quick because it gets going real, fast. And what I like the first half, not even first half, I guess maybe the first quarter of this film or first third of the film has a great mixture of sets and like miniatures and live action stuff. And it's great. It almost reminded me of like maybe a movie nowadays, like maybe Sin City or something or even Batman, the Tim Burton Batman, where he had to have watched this movie too. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot, which I like. I think is really cool. But man, this is 1930. You know,
Right.
they're doing this stuff back then. I thought, man, I was just like, wow. And I just visually, this movie really drew me in. Like, the first quarter or third of this film, I was like, wow.
Yeah, the
And
set
it was
design, the set design and cinematography
Yeah.
are unequaled for the time. I mean, even for this
Oh
time,
my God, yeah.
there is a lot of care and effort
Yeah.
and time went into all of this. Yes, this was not a quickie movie.
No, and I was just thinking to myself, you know, like, man, I Timo has sent me a gym, or I've just stumbled across a gym. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Right.
I was eating my words. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, this is really good. And I think I liked the way that the bat moved, and he was more like a criminal, though. I think
Yeah.
in this, right? Everybody was scared of him. He was like, you
Right.
know, and rightfully so, because it was good. The way it moved like a bat, I was like, wow, like the shadows, the way he was using, light and shadow and camera angles. And I was like, this is everything I like in a film wrapped up right now, you know. Now, I will say the second half or whatever, I still liked, but it turned into more of a play. I could tell like these people are actors of the stage, you know what I mean? Just the way I thought the movie went, the way everybody was standing, the way they talked to each other and stuff, reminded me of being at a play. I thought, you know, it was really kind of cool, but yet it lost a little bit of that feeling for me of the beginning, but I still was held on because it also reminded me of, was it the 12 Little Indians or The Thing or whatever, stuff like that. It had that feel. But it got to a point though, there was a little bit too many characters at one point. I had a hard time keeping up with everybody.
Right.
But you know what? I enjoyed this movie a lot, Timo. And I guess not the last thing I'll say, but I do want to make this point. Very seldom in watching movies, especially like horror type movies or things, that I am truly like jaw dropped or a gaff or whatever, or like just this movie had a scene as like, let's say Suspiria. This had a scene in it where I thought, I was saying to myself, as I'm watching the screen, what is that? What the hell is that? What is it? And what it's coming at me at the screen, and I don't know what that is. And it was terrifying. Those terrify me much more than seeing a hatchet to a face.
Right.
Stuff like that. Like the part in Suspiria where the girl comes out of the barbed wire, she comes out of the door, and you don't know if she's got her eyes open or her eyes are painted with her lids down, and she's just like, wow. I'm like, what is that? When I am scared of stuff like that. That scared me. So for the first time in a long time, I saw something in a film that just blew my mind. And this is the part where the bat kind of reveals himself and he comes out of the shadows, and it's just, wow, what is that? What am I looking? I didn't even know what I was looking at for the first like 30 seconds. I'm like, and I was just thought, this is great. Touchdown. This is, you know what I mean? I was like so excited. And this movie, I just think this movie overall is a very good movie. I love the way it was shot. It made me want to make a movie that looked like this. I mean, I swear it's just awesome. So that's what I think about this movie.
Well, it is a stage
that was
play.
as long as the synopsis for Rawhead Rex.
Well, it is based on a stage play, and that's pretty obvious when you're watching it. And a lot of these old movies are, and that's just they could translate a lot easier because the cameras were not as limber. You know, they only had a couple. They had to roll them around and stuff. They weren't, but the camera moves a lot in this movie for a 1930 movie.
Yeah, it does.
But you're starting to see what I love about these old Dark House movies. And they're not all great. Believe me, they're not all great. But when you get the Bat Whispers and the movie The Old Dark House into your psyche, then you start understanding why I like films like The Spiral Staircase and things like that.
Yeah.
Because this is all the same genre. Gothic thrillers, mysteries and stuff. And I think they're just super creepy because the house is the monster. In a lot of it. Now, in this one, not so much. The bat kind of is, but the house is part of the monster too. Yeah. It's part of the threat.
Oh, yeah. It's a creepy old house too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big old creepy house.
Absolutely. And so the black and white photography works for this kind of movie because of that. And I think what's unsettling, what unsettled you is that you weren't expecting to see something out of the ordinary because of the black and white photography and the age of the film. So when you saw the bat coming at you, you didn't know what the hell's coming at you. It took you by surprise. Can you imagine people in 1930 sitting in a theater in a big screen, like a 3-story tall screen, you know, and seeing that thing coming at them? There was probably a lot of soiled zoot suits or whatever the hell was going on back then. Suits. But anyway, I just think this, and it does. The other thing too that I really like about these old dark house movies, the old gothic creep factor movies. I mean, and most of the time these movies have something to do with inheritance or something like that. Or people getting broken down, their car gets stuck in the mud or some shit. But is the humor. And there's always like a couple old ladies or something that are really funny. And this is no exception at all. There is some good, the old funny lady is funny, and the old tough broad, I mean, come on. I mean, these are characters that they should be T-shirts, man. You know, I mean, there should be T-shirts of these women on there, and they kind of win the day. They kind of are the saviors of the day in a way. I will say that I had this thing, and I haven't seen the Bat Whispers in probably 10, 15 years, so I forgot it. I knew I liked it, but I'd forgotten it. And I can tell you that there was not one part of this movie that tricked me. Not one. Okay. So I knew exactly who was who, and I let Angie know too. I was like, well, you know, that is. She's like, no. I'm like, well, that's so-and-so. She's like, what? I go, yeah. Because the guy jumped out of the tree in the very beginning and cold cocked him, and they never explained it. That's exactly this, you know. So I kind of went through the whole thing. But it's a good mystery. It's a good little mystery, and there is a lot of diversion away from different things. And some of the telling the way it was shot, some of the obscure fighting and stuff that's you don't really know who's who in the shot itself because of shadows are just done magnificently. I just think this is a really phenomenal movie. And talk about holding up. It's gotten better to me. Yeah. And I've always liked this movie. It's why I wanted to watch it, but it's still, and I knew that it was the Bob Kane thing. So I didn't say nothing to you, you know, until you watched
thanks. I appreciate that too. And you know, it's funny. It's like, I thought about it kind of in the beginning, but then, you know, after a while, I didn't think of Batman at all anymore. You know what I mean? Which, I mean, you know, the movie took over. You know what I mean?
It just inspired him. So, it's not really like the same thing, but it's close. There's moments.
I'll tell you what, it's great. And right. You could make a Batman movie like that. Would be odd.
Well, I was going to say, too, that, and I don't have to tell you this, but just for anyone listening to not Batman experts, and I am not a Batman expert, but one thing I do know is that Batman in the beginning was a much darker horror type of tale. I mean, he was scary. The Batman was scary, you know, and stuff. And it was pretty close. A couple of interesting little things. This actually, and I think it hurt the film horribly, actually, when it came out. But this film, and I don't know how you watched it or how I sent it to you, but there's an early 65 millimeter. It's an early 65 millimeter widescreen attempt. So there is a letterbox widescreen version of this movie that's shot, instead of 35 millimeter, it's shot on 65. For instance, The Hateful Eight was shot in 70 millimeter. Okay. And that was like, you know, Tarantino wanted to do that for the old roadshow movies. Cartoon and movies like that were shot in 70 millimeter. So this was an experiment. Unfortunately, this was like during the Depression, and there was only a handful of these widescreen movies made. I think actually Stagecoach with, I think that's what it was. With John Wayne was an early widescreen movie. Yeah. Around the same time, I think it was 1930. I think it was it Wagon Trail or Stagecoach? I can't remember. I think it was Stagecoach. But anyway, there's a couple of them that were shot like this. I find that interesting. The Mary Pickford estate owned the rights to this, and it was thought lost until 87.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I know they mentioned something at the beginning, like this film, what was it? Maybe about the restoration of it or something.
That might have been the widescreen thing. Did you watch it in Letterboxd? Was there like any kind of letterboxing going? Okay, well then you saw the widescreen. So that's an interesting thing. Now the actual DVD that's at least the one that we have wasn't 16:9. It was just 4:3 letterbox. If anybody knows what that means, then they'll go, okay. But it doesn't really. I mean, I'd love to see a Blu-ray come out of this. Believe me, I would love to see a Blu-ray. of this. And believe me, I will have it when it comes out. But till then, it's still such a cool historical movie. And
Yeah.
I'd like to be someone who is part of making this memory come back to people, like reminding people this movie exists.
It's a great movie.
It is.
I mean, there was a point where it lost some of the fun for me, but I just thought overall, this is just a great movie. And like I said, the bat himself, whatever, is just super creepy. And the thing is too, is like, he'll come out of nowhere too. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, there's the bat.
Right.
But it's funny because they had the one old lady, she thinks everything's bad. Everything.
Yeah, right. So,
yeah.
Well, I'm going to give this a huge
Good
great
times.
bape up. I mean, a great bape up to the rafters. What a great film to review for Halloween, right? I mean, perfect film for Halloween to review. So I'm going to give it a huge great bape up to the rafters. What are you going to do?
Me too, Timo. Same thing. I'm really happy that I got to see this movie. Being a Batman fan, yeah, for sure. But just what a great movie! Like, as a horror fan, I think I appreciate it more as a horror fan than I do as a Batman fan. I just thought it was, and I needed that moment, Timo. I like those moments.
Yep.
What is that? I don't know what it is. What is going on? And I just it got me because we've talked. I'm a very visual person, and I had a hard time focusing on what was coming at me. Right. Good stuff, buddy. Just what a nice treat.
Right. Well, that's two huge great bapes up to the rafters then for the Bat Whispers, and two fun. It's a monster movie. Great bapes up for Rawhead Rex, which we wish could have been a little better in the Rawhead Rex department, but it's a movie that exists, and I've seen a hell of a lot worse, and there was a really great moment in it. So, well, Ben Harley, happy Halloween to you and to the audience.
You too, my friend.
Yes. And we will, I'm not sure. Well, I do know one thing we're going to do next week. It's going to get a little devilish. Next week. So we'll leave everybody with that. And until then, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com.
Happy Halloween.